acting class for a couple of years with any kind of credible technique. I'm most familiar with method technique and Meisner technique because I had the good fortune of being in New York and actually sitting in class with Stella Adler and sitting in class with Sandy Meisner, and I know what these folks taught. And I have sat in class with people who came off of their teaching and branched out, and I have watched how this stuff works. And yeah, for a year or two, you gotta work the manual, because learning to act is not a completely easy thing to do. There's some subtleties in it that are incredibly demanding. And you got to follow the rules, whatever the method is. You got to do all that stuff. You got to rehearse in a certain way. But there comes a time when they've given you the keys to the car. Would you just get in it and go somewhere? That's my biggest thing in the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday class, is getting people to just get in the car. Would you just perform it? And then we get to do the stuff we do in the other class, where we start then really challenging that. Okay, not only do you not need the manual, you can do it blindfolded. You can get places without even looking. Taxi drivers do that. They do. A New York cab driver that's been driving taxis for 10 years in New York can get anywhere because they know it. They just know it. And if they haven't gone down that street, they've gone down the one next to it, and they've just got the whole thing running in their mind, and they trust it because they can't afford to sit and Google map things. It would just cut out the number of fares they could drive. So they don't. They know. They trust it. I don't want a surgeon operating on me who needs to refer to the manual. I want him or her operating on me from their knowledge of what they do and their instinct about how to do it. They've got to trust that they know surgery. They can't go back to square one on when they got me open. I don't want them going, I really should check the book. Thank you. I just as soon you moved on and sewed me up. If you got to, go for a reference, not me. No. And yet actors, you treat yourself like that. Well, I'm a beginner. Now, some of you in the room may be beginners in terms of your study. Good, follow the book for a year or two. Follow it, do exactly what the teacher says, rehearse exactly the way, pattern it all out, use the system. But at a certain point, you're an actor. You are an actor. You can go back and visit the book for fun and to brush up. I occasionally look at the California Driver's Manual just to see what I forgot, because I have one that just happens to sit in a place that every once in a while I go, oh, I've been breaking that law for 20 years. But it's pure entertainment at this point, because I get in the car, I go places. And that's what you do. Give me a scene, I go places. The destination is moving anybody who's sitting watching. That's always the destination. All of this, it's bunk. It's bunk. Now, you guys get to decide when you've earned your license. I wish we licensed actors. I really do. Because sometimes I see performances where I go, ooh, acting without a license. So I wish there was a thing you had to pass. But at a certain point, if you passed it, now that doesn't mean you don't make an illegal left turn. It doesn't mean you don't we make mistakes driving, don't we? But we realize it, we correct, we quick avoid, whoopsie, they didn't see that, and we look carefully not to make that mistake again. But you don't have to go back to square one. It's just bunk. They don't know what they want. The degree to which they don't know what they want, when I was a casting director, was shocking to me. This one was one that got debunked before before my eyes. I so thought, when I worked with my first really big director, Sidney Lumet, when I first worked around a really big director, I thought, boy, well, Sid will know what he wants. One of the reasons Sidney Lumet was a great director is he absolutely knew he didn't know what he wanted. He couldn't wait for actors to come in and illuminate, and he was working with Paddy Chayefsky's screenwriting. So it wasn't like he didn't have, it wasn't realized. He had brilliantly realized screenwriting, and yet he couldn't wait to see what actors were going to show him that he didn't know. He couldn't wait for auditions. He was so thrilled to go in and be shown what he wanted. They don't know, and they couldn't tell. Well, if they just tell me what they want. I want you to surprise me. I want you to not do what the last 31 of them did.
Yeah.
Because that's what you'll do. If you think they know what they want, then you will do what's right there. You'll do what everybody else does. They all got the same side you did. They're all, pardon me, well, they're all going to do that. You have got to not let that happen. You've got to go. They don't know what they want. They don't know how they want this to be yet. What they want is it to come alive with a unique human being inside it. And the amount of preparation I need to act lessens with each successive reading, because I've already passed the test. I know how to act. I put the manual away. And the other part that they want from you, which is being you, you pretty much have been doing every day for several decades. So how hard is it? Do you have to practice? Do you have to get up in the mirror every morning and go, I need to rehearse how to be Sam today? Yeah, pretty much get up, go to the bathroom, and be Sam. Me, you don't, but you go to the bathroom, and then you go be Constance or whoever you are. Without any rehearsal. You've been rehearsing your whole damn life. So you don't need to practice that. And once you've got the basics of acting down, you don't need any more than... You say, but what about the lines? Here's a big piece of bunk. Of course you have to have the lines when you're shooting because the script girl gets nervous. It's your job to make sure you're saying the lines that they paid a lot of money for some writer to write. You should say the lines. I'm all for it. However, I can't tell you how many times I have sat in a theater with, and I have, especially in the theater, I have sat with writers of such note that, writers of note. And I have watched these men and women watch an audition where an actor did a line that wasn't what they wrote. And I have watched Tony Award-winning, Pulitzer Prize-winning authors change their script into what the actor just said. Because the moment they hear something better than what they wrote, they will take it right in and they will publish it in the Samuel French version, and they will collect the royalties. They have no shame about that. Now, that doesn't mean it's your job to go in and correct their writing, but it means we're all in the same game. If it works, it works. And I really don't give a fuck who came up with it. It works. I want the audience moved, and if that actor just said it a way that is more moving than what I wrote, I'm just real happy to roll that right in to my screenplay or to my play. So all of this reverence for, it's bunk. Now, you still have to learn your lines. Here's what's bunk. Repeating them will not help you learn your lines. What repeating them does is set up in your mind a tape that you will try to match. And so what is happening now is that tape is always running. It is always running, and instead of acting, you are in a contest with yourself. You're in a contest with your own. So to those actors who say, well, I need to get out of my head, stop rote memorizing your lines, and you'll do more toward getting out of your head than anything else you can do. Because that's what keeps you in your head, is the little tape you're trying to match. Learn your lines this way. Start this way. Read a scene one time. Read it one time. And then say, put it down. One time. Put it down and tell the story. Say, just tell the story. Then pick it up and read it again. And now tell the story with as many of those lines as will creep in there. Okay? Pick it up, read it again, and now tell the story with the lines, and you will have the lines.